Hi, everyone. Welcome to tonight's session. Wherever you are tuning in from, today we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Samuel Wang. And before we actually introduce him, I would like to invite all of you, if you are watching from Facebook or any other social media platforms, including YouTube, you actually invite and share this feed so that we are able to reach other people. All right. So we'll take 1 minute to let you do that. Remember to share so that more people are able to get more from this session. All right. So without further ado, tonight, it is my pleasure to be introducing to all of you Dr. Samuel Wang. He is actually born in China, and he was actually part of the Hare Krishna movement in China. How interesting. And he was actually converted into Christianity in 1994. And ever since then, the Chinese community has always been his burden. He is an evangelist, a teacher, and also an author. Some of his literary works include God and the Ancient Chinese, which is actually this book that I have right here, Back to the Beginning for an Enlightened Life, and also Intriguing Connections, the Dharma and the Gospel. So, ladies and gentlemen, the person we have been waiting for the whole week, all right? It's my pleasure to present to you Dr. Samuel Wang, who is currently streaming live from the USA, Tennessee. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Samuel Wang. Over to you, Dr. Samuel.
All right. Good evening, everyone. And it is my privilege and honor to be here tonight to spend this hour together to search for the Chinese root. Now, as the Chinese, we are everywhere. And, in the ancient world, we normally talk about the four ancient civilizations. Now, in this series of meetings, I want to introduce to you the Chinese heritage, the Chinese wisdom, the Chinese worship system, the Chinese writing system, the Chinese, even the Confucianism, Taoism, all of this is a part of the Chinese wisdom, Chinese heritage. What are they? What are the most important things in this heritage? And why Chinese culture is the only unbroken culture in all world civilizations? Now you can see there are four ancient civilizations: Babylon and Egypt, and then you have in Hindu culture, and then you have Chinese culture. You have other cultures. However, the Chinese culture is the only one that's surviving. Unbroken chain has always been there. That doesn't mean that the Chinese people were not invaded or dominated, governed by other people. For instance, the Mongolians conquered China. But however, when they conquered China, they adopted the Chinese culture. Manchurian conquered China. And when they conquered China, they adopted the Chinese culture. It's always a mystery. It is very intriguing to see why the conquerors even give up their own culture, adopt the conquered culture. It is quite interesting. And I want to quote to you, someone wrote about the Chinese culture. This is from American Historical Association. This is written quite early. It's not about the current situation. It's in the 1940s. It says, an old missionary student of China once remarked that the Chinese history is remote, monotonous, obscure, and worst of all, there's too much of it. Of course, in the U.S., if you study the U.S. history, it's very short. I mean, 200 some years. You don't have to study much. It's finished. But the Chinese history, 5,000 years is too much of it. He said China has the longest continuous history of any country in the world. Now, he gave the figure, it's not quite right. He said it's 3,500 years of the written history. But written history might be a little longer than that. That is the written history of the Hebrews. We have the Bible, the Hebrews writing. What we have is 3,500 years. But Chinese writing actually goes beyond that. And even the 3,500 years ago, China's civilization was old. And
Wow.
so
That's
actually,
very
you can see
interesting,
we
Dr.
had
Samuel.
a legendary history for
For
1,500
all
years.
of you history fans out there, I sure hope you are having a pen and a paper to write down your notes, because you are in for a treat. All right, learning from Dr. Samuel Wang live himself.
Yeah.
So yes, take it away, Dr. Samuel.
Yes, the Chinese history is basically two parts. Is a legendary history, which is called 传说史, and the written history, which is called the 信史. Now, the 信史 actually it's probably around 4,000 years, 300, 500 years, 3,500 years. But the legendary history is also there. And if you compare the Chinese chronology with the biblical chronology, you'll find it very interesting. According to the biblical chronology, 4004 BC was the time for the creation. And after that, you have the flood. After 656 years, you have the flood. And then 101 years later, you have the Tower of Babel. According to the Bible, it is after the Tower of Babel and the language was confounded, and then people were scattered everywhere. Now, the origin of the Chinese could have been started from there. Now, it's interesting to notice that it only took 42 years after the Tower of Babel, the first Chinese dynasty was established. Now, if those of you who have read your Bible, and you can see the Israel, they walk a short distance from Egypt to Canaan. Now, this is supposedly only 40 days, but it took them 40 years.
Wow.
But for the people who migrated from the Tower of Babel, come to China, and then establish a dynasty, it only took them 42 years. And hey, talking about efficiency, talking about obedience, cooperation with God, you can see that this presents some different pictures. Now, this just give you another visible picture, so you can see the flood. 2, 3, 4, 8 was the time for the flood, and then 2247 is the time of the Tower of Babel, and then we can have a traced written history in 2205 BC, only 42 years after the incident in the Tower of Babel. Now, what is the significance of this chronology? The significance is that the biblical chronology supports the Chinese history. In another way, the Chinese history also supports the biblical chronology. We don't have anything beyond 2205. We have a short legendary period. We have nothing beyond the flood. So you can see that the timeline, the Chinese timeline, it just collaborates with the biblical chronology. And that gives us a pretty good idea. Now, in the series, I'm going to present to you, and there will be many fascinating facts, historical facts, records, and sites that bears witness to the Chinese worship history. And you would be surprised, how could the Chinese learn and know so much? They seem to know almost everything the Bible is teaching. So you would have a question in your mind. How is that so? Now, to answer that, I would like to just present to you before the written version of the Bible, which goes back 3,500 years, there were 2,500 years human history from Adam all the way to Moses. Now, from this period, there was no written version of the Bible, and the revelation of God was given through the word of mouth, and it was transmitted by the word of mouth. So there was one language, but of course, later after Tower of Babel, there are many different versions. I believe the ancient culture, like the Chinese culture, was one of them, which was exposed to the revelation of God in the oral version. That is the source. That is how we get it. Now, today, many of us are still proud of the Chinese culture, but what was it that make us so proud of it? It is because the heavenly teaching contained in the culture, in his writing, in his classics. Even the people, Chinese have been everywhere, but it's not they are not brought to the different parts of the world through war. They're not like the Europeans colonize different people and conquer them, makes them a colonial country up under them. That's the way the Chinese interact with the world. How was that so? So this we need to understand at the outset. Let's understand the ancient Chinese were exposed to the oral revelation of God, and then they preserve that. This understanding would help us understand the question: where is the source of the ancient Chinese wisdom? The wisdom as taught by Confucius or Lao Tzu or another one. And where is the source? And this man has written some other things. I will not, to save time, not going through too much of it. We have philosophy, we have art, we have whatever. It's all there. The Chinese way is a little different because of the teachings contained in the Chinese culture. Even, but even it's so great, but people still have misunderstanding. This cartoon here shows something. I don't know whether you read Chinese or not, but hey, look at, I'm now in America. If in America, if you call your parents and say, "Mom, I love you," and then that's it. But the Chinese way of exchanging the love between the children and the parents, and here is the phone call. A daughter is calling mom, "Mom, please remember to take care of yourself. The weather is getting cold. Put on more clothes. Oh yes, I just bought a new pair of gloves for you." That is the Chinese way of express love. It's not simply just "Mom, I love you." Hung up. That's all. That's it.
That's right.
But there is also misunderstanding about the Chinese. And here's another cartoon shows. It says, "Oh, I come from China. Glad to meet you." The other guys say, "Please don't eat my cat." It just shows you have a wrong picture, wrong impression. And it is interesting. There was a Paul was down to see how the foreigners know about the Chinese culture. What comes up? The first one is Jackie Chan. And Jackie Chan become the icon of the Chinese culture and so forth.
My hero.
It shows you how much the other people know about the Chinese culture. Now, this is not only misunderstood by the foreigners, even the Chinese themselves. We have the overseas Chinese, especially the English-speaking Chinese. Once you lose the language, and after several generations, you start to lose your cultural connection, and you just don't have it anymore. And then you follow the main media, and then whatever the impression they have, you fit on that, then that become part of your own understanding of your own culture, which in most cases were not very accurate. And so we have all kinds of Chinese today. We have Chinese who speaks Chinese, but are cut off from the Chinese culture, which are the mainland Chinese. Because the mainland Chinese now there's more atheism, communism. So they are Chinese speaking people, but not really carrying on the traditional ancient Chinese culture. Then you have the Chinese in Taiwan who speaks Chinese, still retain some part of the traditional Chinese. Then you have the Chinese in Malaysia, in Singapore, Indonesia. Then the Chinese group here, you carry with you the culture your ancestor brought over to this land. So you can see yourself different from the mainland Chinese. You can see yourself different from the American Chinese. And so the Chinese is a whole mixing pot. It's not just the one Chinese. So this misunderstanding is there. So we need to kind of like to understand what is the most important thing and where is our root. And this some of these slides are showing what happened before, but I'm not going to tell everything for tonight. Some of the slides I'll come back again when I was doing the other introductions. Now tonight, our main focus is to trace our ancestors. Who are our ancestors? Where are they from? Why they are known? What are they known today? And now these are some of the pictures showing the ancient legendary kings of our ancestors. We have San Huang Wu Di, 5 legendary kings. The most famous one is Yan Di. Yeah, Yan Di. Yan Di is, you can say, Yan, as you can see it, is 2 words for fire. He's called a frying, is a famous king. Why is that? It's because his character is shining like fire. That is why he's called Yan Di, because this is to describe that his character is just as shining as light. The next one famous is Huang Di. So we normally call it Yan Huang Zi Shun. We are the descendant of Yan Di and Huang Di. And who are they? And what is their story? And how are we to relate to them? After that, then you have Yao Shun Yu, and these are the 3 legendary kings which we will cover tonight. And and the king, especially the Chinese are known as Yao. Yao, we say we are Tangren. And you say, why you called yourself Tangren? Tang Yinggai, I was Chinatown. Yeah, they would say Tang Yinggai in Cantonese or whatever. Now, why you say yourself, claim you as Tangren? And some people say, oh, it's because we have a Tang dynasty. No, the emperor of Tang dynasty, the surname is Li, not Tang. Well, that is because we call ourselves Tangren is because it's King Yao. Yao, he is Tang. So we can name that we are the descendant of King Yao. And then we need to understand who is he. He's the one that Confucius praised the most, the highest. Confucius said, great indeed was Yao as a king. How majestic was he. It is only heaven that is grand, and only Yao corresponded to it. And it's so Yao is how vast and deep was his obedience that people could find no name for it. He was a remarkable, wonderful person that his character is shining. All the ancient kings that is known today, most of them are known to us because of their shining character. And
what an honor to actually be called no name can actually replace that. So for our audience today, since we are going into tracing back our roots from China, all right, perhaps we could do a very quick poll while Dr. Samuel continues on where are you from? All right. Yes, Dr. Samuel.
yeah. So and the next one, Yao, after Yao is Shun. The earliest record says Shun, he sacrificed to Shangdi. And so Shun Si Nei Yu Shangdi, he sacrificed to Shangdi. That is the earliest record of the Chinese legendary kings making sacrifices to God. And as you know, when you talk about God and I'm talking about sacrifice and all of this, the earliest record, and you have to come to Genesis to find the root. The Chinese have some recording. I want to compare. Let that be shown to you in the Bible. It says in the beginning, God created heaven and earth, and then it describes in 6 days God did creation in a different order. And I want to show you this same order is there in the Chinese. It is the Chinese, as the Bible says, on the sixth day, the man was created, and then God put them in the Garden of Eden, and there was 4 rivers there, and so forth. That is in the Bible. And God made a man, and then He made a woman. Even this woman, in the process, for the Christians who understand Jesus come to die and resurrect for us. And hey, the plan of salvation was right there in this creation of the woman. Adam was the first man. He symbolized the second Adam, Jesus. When creating the woman, God put him into deep sleep. In the Bible, sleep representing death. So Adam went through death. And then God take a rib out of him, and that pointing to the detail when Jesus died on the cross, a soldier came, put a spear through his side, that blood and the water came out. And then God used the rib, made the woman, and then Adam wake up. He brought the woman, come to Adam, he wake up. So right here in this process, we can see the story of the death and the resurrection of Jesus. The plan of salvation is right there. It's not simply a legendary story as recorded in the Bible. If the man was created first, then you have the woman. Now let's look at this one. This is the Chinese record of how creation starts. This is recorded in the most famous Chinese book, the Book of Changes. It says, this is the Chinese, and for those who don't read Chinese, let me read the English to you. It says, heaven and earth existing. So the order, you have heaven and earth, then all material things then go get the existence. And then all things having their existence, afterwards then came male and the female. Interesting. Now today we can see, it is the mother who gave birth to the children. But who comes first? Is that mother comes first, father comes first, man comes first, or woman comes first? It's a simple question, but to get it right, you must know. So this is written about 4,000 years ago. Heaven and earth comes first, and then you got everything. When everything is ready, then you have a man. After man is created, then you have woman. The same order recorded, just as the Hebrew records the creation order. The same order. Because why? Because we have the Chinese were exposed to the oral revelation. And, from the existence of male and female, there came afterwards husband and wife. From husband and wife, then came the son. And from son and the father and son came the ruler and the minister. From ruler and minister came the high and the low. So the order, everything is so orderly recorded. And that is the Chinese way of recording everything. So from God's record, all men are come from just one blood, coming from one blood. And it's interesting. It says, God blessed them, so you be multiply and to manage the world, before of the world. And today, probably it is true that no one does it better than the Chinese. They multiply and be everywhere in the whole world. There is a sound. Yeah, it says 阳光照耀的地方一定有中国人. This is a book published in Singapore, and wherever there is sunshine, there is Chinese. And now, true. God said, God made the world and all things, and He has made of one blood all nations of men. Now, the Chinese is also coming from this one blood. I just want to show you a simple tree, family tree. This is a baby. You have a mother and a father, and then you have a grandpa, grandma, and then grandpa, grandma on the mother's side. So from one blood, you have two, and then from these two, you have four. And this is my family tree. My name is Wang, and my mother's name is Liu. And then going up, you have four family tree. And then if you still go a little further, you can see one person. You have blood from many families. They're not from just one.
Wow.
And if you go back, we have 100 Chinese family name, but all of this from one blood, it developed into hundreds of them. But all the different families actually coming from one blood. And that is, we all have the same blood, the same ancestor, which goes back to Adam and Eve. And having said that, then let's just take a look to see what are the stories of the Chinese and our ancestors. And I want to show you a documentary. And so take your time and just, we're going to show this documentary to see how, where are we from? And there I presented the documentary in Chinese. However, you can read the English subtitle. So
the subtitles are of very high quality. In fact, the production value of the entire video is fantastic, Dr. Samuel.
All right, I will click and then let's play.
齐声战马超，越过八州升旗桥，数来年年老鹰好，10年年前开道，18万大将马后扫，草草。
春节是海内外华人共庆的传统佳节，团圆、欢乐、祈福、平安。海内外华人以千姓之众雄居世界人口榜首，然而追根寻源，仍同出自一脉。
有阳光的地方就有中国人，有阳光的地方就有华人。我们无论是海内外的华人在什么地方，我们都是华夏子孙，我们都是同根共主。
最古老的史书把中国人的来源指向了皇天上帝。皇天既负中国民，越绝疆土于先王，书经子才。是皇天上帝将中国民众带到这片肥沃的土地， 又给他们划定疆界，将贤王明君赐给他们，而炎帝就是传说中最早的中华先祖。
海内外的华人呢，都自称是炎黄的子孙。那么炎帝自然是我们的最早的始祖。那么炎帝的故里究竟在哪里？在今天的中国呀，大概有不下6个地方都自称是炎帝的故里。这一方面说明炎帝当时的活动的范围呢比较广泛，而另外一方面呢，也说明炎帝被广泛的接受和承认。
炎帝，姜姓，父少典氏，母女登，因教民稼穑，为中华农耕文化的创始人，又称为神农氏。传说姜姓部落的首领由于懂得用火而得到王位，所以称为炎帝。
炎帝本来叫做神农氏，可是为什么称为炎帝呢？这是因为炎帝呢，据说他是有这个火德之王，所以称他为炎帝。
国语晋语载，炎帝以江水成，这是中国历史最早记载炎帝的史料。这里所说的江水，就是今天的陕西宝鸡清江河。
那么在宝鸡的这个炎帝，应当是最为原始的炎帝故里，至少在中国的学术界有比较一致的声音是持这种看法。我们传说中的这一位炎能说话，5天能走路，7天长出了牙齿，而且3岁的时候就能下地干农活。
湖南的炎陵展示了更多的一些传奇细节。
我们现在所在的是2002年在湖南省人民政府所修的祭奠神农的，叫做神农大殿。这里呢是举行公祭的地方。我们在这儿呢看到了炎帝的这个雕像。那么在这个雕像上，你看到他的左手呢是拿着一个农具，这是他发明的这个耒耜。那么右手呢是拿着他教导人的栽种的五谷。那这里边记载了炎帝的这个教导人生产、教导人耕种的这种功德。那么你还注意到左边呢就有一头鹿，右面呢这个后边有一只这个鹰，这是说炎帝在年幼的时候，母亲上山去农作，把它放在一个草丛的边上。那么后来母亲工作的时候呢，就有这个大鹰来遮住这个太阳啊，然后呢这个鹿来为它这个哺乳。这里的反映了这个炎帝在年幼的时候的一种情形。
炎帝的出生与成长充满着传奇。炎帝的去世更是传奇动人。
传说中间呢，这个当炎帝在尝百草尝到日常70味，到这个断肠草的时候呢，他就这个因为尝到这一味草很有毒性啊，结果就去世了。那么他去世之后呢，把他的这个遗体就沿着这条水系这逆流而上，这个是湘江的支流。米江的上游到这个地方的时候，后来就停在这里啊，就炎帝陵就葬在这个地方。我们到今天还看见这一带是山清水秀，可以想象在几千年以前，这里的这番美景该是何等的令人神往。
这样的传说是很多人相信，今天湖南株洲的炎陵县就是炎帝的陵寝之所在。炎帝陵的金身大殿里 陈列着传说中的炎帝塑像，刻画着炎帝的功德。
这里是炎帝的金身释像大殿，在这里呢有一副对联，记载了炎帝的主要的2项功德。它是治累世、奠农耕的基础，然后呢尝百草、开医药的先河。就是古代的时候，我们的这个农业的生产以及这个身体健康的维系，那么都是由炎帝来开创的。那他的这样2项功绩，为中华民族的生存和发展奠定了伟大的功绩。炎帝的一生为民族的生存和发展所做出的重大贡献，他所表现的那种忘我、无私、勇敢、百折不挠这样的一种奉爱的精神，使得他成为民族历史上为人所尊崇的华夏的先祖。饮水思源，华夏的子孙就开始因着炎帝为民族所做的伟大的贡献而祭奠炎帝。
人们把湖南炎陵确定为炎帝的陵寝之所在，据说与明太祖朱元璋的一段祭祀碑文有关。
这个是炎帝陵所存放的玉碑廊。那么在这个玉碑廊里边呢，一共有56块这个记事碑，包括这个祭文在一起的。那么真正的祭文石碑呢是51块，而以朱元璋的洪武4年所刻的这一块碑文为第1块。我们从这个碑文里边呢，我们也可以看到，明朝的朱元璋在公元的1371年，在派遣他的一个官员叫雷遂的来到这里啊，将他的祭文刻在这里。那么这个碑文写的比较有意思，他就说他是生在这个朝野之中的一介草妇，但是呢，这个元朝这个是对天下失去了这个驾驭的能力，天下纷争，万雄皆起。这样的话，他就举兵来平复了这一切。
一方面，明太祖将自己得天下的原因归功于上天的垂怜；另一方面，又将自己与中华民族的始祖炎帝连在一起。
那么谈到他是怎么样能够获得天下的，他里边有一句很有意思的话，他说：“获皇天厚土眷佑。”他说是蒙了皇天厚土的对他的这个开恩和保佑，才让他是得到平定天下。那么其中呢，他在把他自己和炎帝联系起来的时候，他有一句很有意思的话，他说：“你君生上古，你生在远古的这个时代，你是怎么会得到天下的？”他说：“你是继天立即做真民主，皇天他是这个最高的，所以他就说你是在远古的时候出生的，可是我呢知道你是上天呢立定你做这个王，来做这个万民的这个主。”那么我们还注意到这个碑文里边很有趣的有2个这个换行的这种规格，就是这地方有一个就是昭告于炎帝神农氏，这里本来这里还有空啊，是可以写下去的，可是呢他一碰到炎帝，可以说是中华第一人，所以他在这个文字就给他换了一个行了。那么在人上的比人更高的就是天，皇天上帝来创造万民，天生真民，所以他遇到这个天字的时候，又比这个炎帝的这个字啊又高一层了，所以这个天呢就在碑文里边是高于一切，就正如这个《说文解字》的解释天一样，天颠也，它就是一切的最高峰，这是万物之源。
那么明太祖朱元璋所如此敬畏的天，又是一个怎样的概念呢？中国最早的字典《说文解字》对天做出了这样的解释：天，颠也。天是一切的最高峰，是万物之始。
所以我们从这个碑文里边呢，我们看到中华民族的2个基本的特征，就是敬天法祖。这里表现了朱元璋的敬天的意识，同时呢，也表现了他对祖先的这种尊重效法。
神农炎帝并不仅仅只受到明太祖的尊崇，这幅历代帝王护灵的画面，就生动地展示了历世历代对始祖炎帝的敬仰与缅怀。炎帝虽然受到后世的敬仰与拜祭，但炎帝自己却没有祭祖的情节。
那么炎帝被誉为华夏的第1位大帝，那么常常这里有许多的华夏的子孙到这里来祭拜这个华夏的祖先。有趣的是，今天的人呢，我们祭祖祭拜炎帝，可是据《管子·封禅》的记载，炎帝呢，他所敬拜的对象不是任何的祖先，而是皇天上帝。《管子》书上说，炎帝在泰山封禅，说他在泰山祭拜上天。我们站在归根堂的这个不是百家姓，而是千家姓的这个堂前，我们实在是感受到了中华民族虽然是幅员辽阔，这个人口众多，但是我们是同根、同源、同祖，都是炎帝的后裔。那么我们在这里今天能缅怀我们的先祖，表明了中华民族是重视孝道，是一个感恩的民族，感恩的精神，感恩的心怀，是每一个华夏子孙所必有的心怀。那么另外一方面，我们感念我们的先祖，来纪念炎帝，纪念他的，歌颂他的功德。同时我们也看到炎帝他是一位敬天的先祖，那么这也呼唤我们今天华夏子孙也是不但要缅怀我们的先祖，更是要像我们的先祖一样，对生我们、养我们、抚育我们，为我们的生存发展提供一切的这位上天，存一颗感恩和敬拜之心。
然而，炎帝并不专指神农氏，而是指整个炎帝部落的领袖的合称。
那么按照这个传说来说，这个神农氏是第1位炎帝。那么炎帝之后呢，在神农氏之后还有7位炎帝，到和黄帝同时代的那一位炎帝已经是第8世的炎帝了。
据传，当炎帝部落传至第7、8代时，一场孤泉之战，炎帝部落败于黄帝部落，黄帝一统诸夏，中国进入华夏时代，而黄帝就被后世尊为华夏始祖。华夏的华，据说是指衣服里比周边部落华丽，而夏据说是非常大的意思，表明比周边部落庞大。黄帝为少典之子，因发明车而号轩辕，因有土德之美，被尊为黄帝。相传今天的河南省新郑市就是黄帝的故里。浓雾之下，黄帝的故里还蒙上了一层悠远神秘的面纱。
那么这位华夏诸族的先祖轩辕黄帝，他的故里就在今天的河南省新郑市。我们一同来走进黄帝的故里。我们在这个黄帝的故里啊，你看到这个黄帝室的前面呢，它不是像普通的寺庙前面有这个狮子，而是有熊。的原因呢，就是因为黄帝在20岁的时候继位，成为有熊氏的君王。按照史书上记载呢，黄帝是少典之子，以姬为姓。那据说啊，他生下来的时候非常的神异，到15岁的时候就已经是无所不通了，到20岁就继位成为部落的首领。 司马迁的《史记》对黄帝有记载，《黄帝本纪》有这样的描述。皇帝祭祖台上面，我们看到了皇帝的各种历史的功绩。那么在这里呢，你看到他是这里讲他是开创农业，教导人们如何耕种，对。然后呢，他的妻子呢是用这个商蚕用来织布，然后有制定了历法，教导人音乐这个我们还有《黄帝内经》也是借皇帝之口，把中国的这个医学也从他开始。皇帝呢也是一统天下，成为华夏族，成为中华民族的一个开创者。那么还特别记载皇帝发明了这个鼎，这个鼎呢是指他治国安邦的一个很重要的一个器具，一个象征。那么皇帝又命他的史官创造文字，也使得中国的文字呢成为有了一个开始。皇帝设立了各样的官职，创造了一个很完美的一个政治的体系。皇帝称为轩辕氏呢，也是因为他发明了战车，所以他称之为轩辕氏，也发明了指南针。在这些个历史的功绩都纷纷的载入史册，是我们今天的后人呢，我们在纪念皇帝的时候呢，也纷纷的不断的来回忆，来缅怀他的这些伟大的功绩和贡献。皇帝是中华民族的共同始祖，海内外的中华子孙们常常会寻根至此，祭拜先祖。
新郑是传说中的皇帝故里，但皇帝的陵寝却在今天的陕西省黄陵县。
在我的身后呢是这个皇帝陵，皇帝陵是在清朝所建的。我们现在所看到的这块石碑是1958年郭沫若先生所题写的。那么这块石碑的后面还有一个高山龙架，说皇帝在这驾崩以后乘龙升天。那么非常有趣的是，这后面有个陵墓，实际上如果是升天的话，这个陵墓就应该是不存在了。不过呢，人们还是在这里有一座陵墓来纪念、来缅怀我们这位先祖。
不知从何时开始，祭祀皇帝的功绩成为传统。这里陈列着历代帝王祭祀皇帝的碑文。
那么祭祀皇帝的文化其实也经历了2个阶段。第一个阶段呢，有把皇帝当成天帝来祭祀，在唐朝以后呢，基本上是把皇帝当成祖先来祭祀。那么这种祭祀一直延续到今天。那么今天一般来说，这个祭祀皇帝都成为国家体制的一个基本的一个制度。从唐朝以后的历代的皇帝都会每隔1-2年都会来皇帝陵来祭祀皇帝。那么在最近的这个祭祀中间，有1937年国共两党在这里的祭祀。我们在这前面的碑文还有看到孙文、蒋中正和毛泽东分别为祭祀皇帝所写的祭文。海外的华人也纷纷的寻根到此来祭祀先祖、祭祀皇帝，来寻找自己民族的根源。每年的正月初1、15、重阳节、清明节都是祭祀皇帝的好的节期。那每一年在这个时间，在这里都会举行祭祀皇帝的大典。
们今天也碰巧了，也看到有一些诗人在这儿来祭拜这个先祖，祭拜皇帝，来追根寻源。
好，过完头，看一下，你上来是不香，先香，往边去望人家。
炎帝与黄帝虽然相距数百年，但他们殷勤地教化民众，启迪民智，为华夏民族的生存与发展奠定了重要的根基。他们的美德熠熠生辉，流传千古，为历世历代的炎黄子孙所敬仰。
中国人的这种寻根的文化，它其实反映的是内心中间对人类的起源、对人类源于何处的这样的一种探求，这样的一种心理的一种情感的宣泄和表达。那么祭祖的这种文化呢，其实又反映了许多的方面。我们呢，一方面看到我们这种感恩之心，可是另外一方面呢，似乎也是在寻求人类的归宿究竟归向何处。祖先已经早已离我们而去，那么他们今天在哪里呢？他们能够在冥冥之中能够保佑他的子孙后代呢？人死了之后，他的归宿究竟在哪里？其实这个祭祖的文化，也就从另外一个角度来说，是我们对于人类的归宿、人类的去向的一种关怀。
然而，对后人来说，更为形象、更为清晰的始祖是黄帝的后裔尧。上面提到的最早的历史文献《书经》也以尧开始。汉朝史学家司马迁在《史记》上说：“学者多称武帝上矣，然尚书独在尧以来。”
华人的文化呢，有一种寻根问祖的这样的一个传统。那么我们常常会追到以尧为主，以舜为根。
尧父乃帝喾，号高辛氏。帝喾在位70年崩，传位给儿子智。尧13岁辅佐智，封于陶帝；15岁改封于唐帝，所以尧号曰陶唐氏。18岁，尧代智为天子，都于蒲坂。
那么尧他在他的这个时代呢，当然是我们传说中间的一位帝王。那么他的父亲呢有2个儿子，其实呢，父亲是把这个地位先是让给了哥哥智，可是智做了9年王之后呢，发现自己根本没有这个弟弟这么的仁爱呀、美德没有这样的好，于是就把这个王位禅让给了这个尧。尧从此就坐上帝位。尧他一生做王的日子呢是70年，到90岁的时候呢，就把帝位传给了这个舜。那么尧他是勤政爱民，可以说他为文明的发展、为国家的治理，他有很大的贡献。我们今天所传下来的一个故事说，这个尧看到路边上有人饥饿、有人受难，他就心里非常的责备自己，说天下有一个人如果受苦受难的话，那都是我这个做王的这个过错。可以从这个地方呢，可以感觉到这个尧他的这种爱民之心是何等的深厚。
一个自然的问题是，尧因何会具备这样的美德？
那么几千年之后的这个孔子对尧有这样的一个赞誉之词，在《论语》的最后一篇《尧曰》这里边呢，有一句话叫做“为天为大，为尧则之”， 就是说天是最伟大的，那么尧呢是最敬天，作为敬顺天的最好的一个榜样，也是因为他这样的敬顺天，所以才有了这个尧成就他自己这样美好的这个品格，成就他的一番的事业，一番的功德。一个方面呢，我们从这里可以看到尧对天的这种崇敬，实际上就开启了中国文明以敬天为我们一切文明的基础的最核心的一个内容。
史学家司马迁进一步描写尧说：接近他如太阳一般，远望他如云霞一样灿烂，富有而不骄横，高贵而不傲慢，黄色的帽子，黑色的衣服，红色的车，驾以白马。唐尧之名传至今日，唐尧的精神与信仰同样的应当成为现代华人的信仰与实践。
中国人呢讲究慎终追远，有一种祭祖的文化。可是呢，最早的祖先呢，他没有祭祖，炎帝也不祭祖，黄帝也没有祭炎帝，那么尧呢也没有祭黄帝。这种祭祖的文化究竟始于何处？有人说是始于商朝，有人说呢或许比商朝还略微早一点。但是呢，我们看到在孔子的记载，在《论语》中间呢，孔子第3篇有一段话，就表明了孔子对这种祭祖的文化，他也是持怀疑的态度的。有人就问孔子说：“那个地理，也就是祭祖啊，他这个是怎么回事？”孔子说：“我不知道啊。那个知道的人，他对于天下的纷乱的事物，他都能够了解，就如同看他的手掌一样。”孔子说：“祭如在，祭神如神在。”他说：“你要祭的话，祭这个祖先的话，就好像他存在一样。你祭这个死去的亡灵，祭他的神位，就好像他存在一样。这个表明他对人死了之后这种亡灵的存在的一种怀疑。如果人死了之后并不存在，那么他又何来祖先之灵、在天之灵能够保佑他的子孙后代呢？那么如果早先的先民并没有祭祖，那么他们所祭拜的又是谁呢？那么，正如我们前面讲，这个尧他是这个华人的开始。我们说自己是唐人呢，是因为我们认为自己是尧的后人。我们刚才讲的孔子说认为尧最伟大的就在于他顺服天，敬拜天。那么这里有一个牌匾叫共戴尧天，我们现在也和尧一样，在头顶着同样的一个天和天上的上天，这个创造之天。那么我们作为尧的后人，也应当像尧一样的来敬拜这一位创造和抚养我们的天。
今天，祖先早已逝去，皇天仍然践行。我们在纪念先祖、效法先祖的同时，或许更应当像他们一样，以敬天为人生的起点，以敬畏上帝之心来规范我们的人生。
啊，你怎么推着你？推啥着你？啊？
那么，伟大的唐尧给后人留下怎样伟大的传承？请继续观看第2集《敬天的传统》。
Wow! What a fantastic video production. All right. So as we wait for Dr. Samuel to come back online together with us, the results of the poll earlier are out. All right. So we have had 800 over registrants. All right. And the results of the poll show that 90% of you are from Malaysia. And also the second poll also tells us that 50%, half of you actually know Dr. Samuel Wang from his books. All right. And for those of you who know Dr. Samuel Wang through his books, I'm sure you are surprised with the production value of the excellent informative videos that Dr. Samuel shared just now. You must have invested quite a bit on those videos, Dr. Samuel.
It took a long time, and there's a learning curve, and it was actually my first time to do a documentary, but it was quite inspiring just to go through different places and then trace our ancestors, and they are actually very pious worshippers of heaven. It was really inspiring and surprising, but it's worthwhile trying, and I think it's very rewarding. It takes a long time to edit and to produce, but I'm very blessed.
I believe it was painstaking work, but with your conviction of your burden to reach more Chinese people, I'm sure they will find those videos extremely informative. Yeah, I found the part where the compass, which was actually invented by the Chinese, fascinating.
Right. It was considered to be invented by Wang, the second legendary king.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I was actually doing some research, and I realized that I clicked that compass was invented by Chinese, right? And only in the 11th century it was then adopted by other races.
Yeah.
Proud moment right there. So, Dr. Samuel, perhaps you could share with us your insights to the video on what actually made you to produce such high quality videos.
One of the things, number one, we as Chinese, we are the most populous people on earth. But however, the modern Chinese, many people just look at the Chinese as they're only interested in money. And many Chinese have lost. We have a different worship traditions, different systems. And so I wanted to find out what was the original belief of our ancestors. People worship ancestors today, but what did the ancestors worship? Who do they worship? Do they worship themselves? Do they ever worship the ancestors, or they only worship heaven? So, and what was the motive? What was the driving force behind them to do so many things? And how do we relate to them? And so that is the some of the motives, incentive that moved me to search, to find out, to go to this historical science. Don't just trust. You think this is what it is. You have to go there and to investigate what is recorded over there. And to my surprise, it's all recorded there, as you can see from the video about the Yandi.
Yep.
Yandi is higher than anyone else from the inscription. But then heaven, Tian is higher than all other things. Just by the way of writing the inscription, it shows two most important elements in the Chinese culture. We consider heaven the greatest. Then we respect our ancestor. So we respect our parents, our ancestor. 敬天法祖, we worship heaven and respect our ancestors. Just this thing, you caught it in one inscription. It is there. It's not, you don't have to go to a school, study from scholars, but it's all commonly known. And today we should go back to what is the core of our culture. And I was hoping this documentary, presenting the historical facts as it was, and it can make the modern Chinese think, where do we actually come from? What is our tradition? Are we only there for money to get prosperity, or do we have something better, something higher? And so that is some of the thoughts I had. I hope our audience could get it, and as inspired as I was.
I'm sure they are inspired to find out a little bit more about their history and also their background, searching for their roots. So by the way, for all of you who are watching, if you have a burning question to ask Dr. Samuel Wang, this is your shot. All right, do type it in the chat, whatever questions that you want to be answered. Okay, and if you are watching this on YouTube or Facebook, it is okay. Do type your question in the comment box as well, and it will be transferred to us. All right, so time is ticking. Make sure that your questions are asked tonight. All right, so yes, I also, back to what you were talking about, Dr. Samuel, I realized the visual aids that you actually put in the video was actually so clear, right? As you mentioned, Tian, all right, first of all was Yan Di, right? It was, there was space at the bottom, but it was moved up because of hierarchy, right? And then there was Tian, which is another level in the inscription, in the stone inscription. Yeah, so for those of you who perhaps missed that moment, all right, don't worry, it is all on YouTube, all right, and the link will be on the comment box, all right, or you can actually search for it on the Facebook and YouTube page of Canaan Land, all right, or visit canaanland.com, okay? So, yes, doctors, as we are looking for some questions, all right. Earlier on, there was a viewer that asked, what is the relationship between Yao and Tang, right? Basically, Yao and Tang Chao. So, yeah, Dr. Samuel, you replied on text, but perhaps you would like to elaborate a little.
I have written the answer in the Q&A, and actually in this video we have seen that because Yao was assigned to live in the place called Tang Yao. So that is why, like in Beijing, where are you from? I'm from Malaysia. I'm from KL. I'm a KL people, and so that is how we say it, because he was assigned to Tang Yao place. So we say Tao Tang, so we say he's Yao, Tang Yao. So he's Yao from Tang, from that place. And that's how he was addressed. And then we are considered to be his descendant. Like Tang dynasty, they think Yao is great. So they take their dynasty name as Tang. That's how they took it. And today, of course, the Chinese consider ourselves as a Tangren, and because we consider ourselves coming from King Yao. And Yao is the most obedient person. And as the inscription describes, he is most obedient to heaven and worship heaven. I see the questions about how did the Chinese worship heaven? And that will be the second session we will present, the God worshiping tradition in the Chinese history. That will be the next session. I hope you can come back and we can discuss it again.
I see some of our audience are very eager to jump the gun, right? So in the next few weeks, there will be a follow-up series. So make sure you register and join, all right? Do not miss an episode. Okay, so let's move on to the next question, perhaps by Siu Eng, right? What is God's promise to the Chinese? Wow. Any thoughts on that, Dr. Samuel?
You know, in the Bible, we do have one verse in Isaiah 49, verse 12. It says, behold, this comes from far, this from the west, from the north, this from the land of Sinan. Now, from the land of Sinan, in direction-wise, this is from the east. And if you study the word Sinan, then you will notice that even today, you say Sinology, anything about China is Sino-Malaysia relationship. Sino-US relationship, then Sino is right
China.
there. The roots, the linguistic root for China is Sinan. So the Hebrew word referring to China is also Sinan, and that is from the from the Qin dynasty, China, Qin. But the spelling a little different. And that is that verse in Isaiah 49, verse 12 is saying that there will be people come from the west, from the north. There will be people come from the land of China, from the Chinese. They come to worship God. So I think that is one of God's promises to the Chinese, that there will be a lot of Chinese to become his worshippers. You compare the big, Israel is a small group, and the Chinese is a big group. And there will be a large amount of Chinese will be the worshippers of God.
In terms of population size, yeah, definitely China dwarfs Israel, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So for our next question, right? This is an interesting one. Did the worship of other Chinese gods, right, like prosperity god or what we call 财神爷 and Guan Yin and all that come much later?
Yes, they come much, much later. Yes, thousands of years later. And they don't appear anywhere in the Chinese classics. You know, the books that is considered to be the authority, to be the real Chinese classics, they don't contain this kind of thing. Only Tian Shangdi, nothing else.
Wow.
Very pure.
So what you're saying is perhaps it is only fabricated later on, but in the classical text, there is no mention of all these, other 财神爷 and Guan Yin and all those.
Not at all. No.
Interesting. Very interesting.
It came I think it was like 2,000 or 3,000 years later, at least 2,000 years later.
I see. So related to that question, actually, as I was reading cover to cover your book, I actually caught my attention that there was a story of your father's affinity with the 4 classical books. And also the Holy Bible, which actually you gifted to him in 1994 when you were converted into a Christian, right?
Yes.
And your father mentioned that the teachings in the Bible are greater and clearer compared to the 4 classic books, and even became Christians themselves and became a house church in China. So just wondering which specific teachings did he find to jump out between the two, the 4 classics and also the Bible?
You know, my father was not a real big scholar. He was just like any other people at his time. They were trained in classics. That's how they studied the Chinese. And he memorized quite a bit. And he often shared with us on the different occasions of family or at a meal. And but there was flood in our hometown, and his books were washed away.
Oh my!
He never had it. So when he had his 70 years birthday, I bought a set of 四书五经 and give as a gift to him.
The classics.
He was very, very happy to see those books coming back. And at the same time, I was also sharing what I learned from the Bible with him, the teachings of Jesus, of not only the prophecies about him, but his character. He suffers for man. He loves man. He's sent by heaven, and he did many miracles. And my father was greatly surprised. He knows Confucius' teaching, but he saw, wow. So I also give him the Bible, and the Bible that he read of course, it's in a common language now. It's not in a classic traditional 文言文, and it's much easier to understand. So he really think it's similar, but it's much clearer. And especially there is someone like Jesus. He carry out his example. He teaches what he acts like what he teaches. So to him, it is wonderful. He later accepted this and become a believer.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing the story. Wow, what a wonderful story. Actually, our next question from Rachel is connected as well. So, how do you connect the Chinese to the Jews? And does God appear to the Chinese also as in the Bible, God appearing to Abraham and Moses? Wow.
For Christians, we normally think about Israel. And many, even in the scholarly world, they study Old Testament theology. They normally start from Abraham. But people tend to forget that before Abraham, there was another, at least, if it's not 2,000 years, it's up to 2,000 years. And there are other people like Adam, Enoch, and Noah. These great people were also recorded in the Bible before Abraham. And when it comes to Abraham, it's God is trying to reestablish, choose a small group to reestablish his teaching. It's just like you choose one apple out of a box of apple to say, I'm going to tell you what is the function, what is the use, what is about this apple, about the plan for this apple. So Israel is just one of many apples to be used as illustration and example. If you want me to compare Israel with the Chinese, I'll jump ahead a little bit, and we will share this next session about God worshiping tradition in the Chinese history. We have a worship, a sacrifice, which runs over 4,000 years. And is called the border sacrifice, which we will talk next time.
交际.
Yeah, for 4,000 years. But I will just point out one figure, then you come draw your own conclusion. When Israel left Egypt and they walked into the wilderness, and God guided them and gave them manna and everything. But when Moses disappeared, were called to Mount Sinai for only 40 days. 40 days they didn't see Moses. What happened with them? They start to worship golden cows. Image again. Only how many days? 40 days. Now, the Chinese never see any image, never see anything. However, for 4,000 years, they kept only offer sacrifice to heaven. No idols whatsoever when it comes to worship God. 40 days compared with 4,000 years, you tell me, who is a better people of God?
Wow. Amazing response. Okay. Yeah, 40 years versus 4,000. Okay. Cool. Is the earliest documented name of God that the Chinese worship 上帝? And can you explain what it actually means?
This could be a better question for next session, because next session we're going to talk about the Tian and the 上帝. But to give a brief answer.
A teaser.
Yeah, 上帝 is another name for Tian. It's just a different name. And Tian, of course, in the Chinese, Tian is everything to us. Tian is a creator. Tian is the most important thing. Tian is the universe. And one, probably the best theology in all the world. It is that the Chinese understand that there's no other measurement for our time, for our life. What is the measurement of a time? Time is given by God to us. So the Chinese measure our day with Tian. 一天
Wow.
两天 and so we spend one day we know that is from 天 so we say 一天两天今天明天 so every day you spend you talk about one day 2 days you realize this day this time is given is directly come from heaven. Where can you find a better theology than that? Nowhere.
Amazing, amazing. Never thought of it that way though. Yeah, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Fantastic. And yeah, the Chinese are the descendants of which son of Noah?
I think there are many guesses. I wouldn't have a absolute conclusion on that one. But as we Chinese believe Shen Nong was the first ancestor, and the Yan Di we watched on this one, and you know his name sound if you speak in Cantonese, Shen Long will sound Shen Tan Long. It sounds like Shen. It's closer to Shen. So I would say he was a descendant of Shen. But do I have more support for that? I'm sorry. It's unfortunately we don't have more support rather than the phonetic connection. But he's definitely, in Noah's family, 3 names are recorded in the Chinese history. We have Noah recorded, Nuwa. We have Chen Long Shen recorded, and we have Japheth recorded, Fu Xi. But these 3 names were recorded. However, we didn't record Han because obviously he was not a filial son. The Chinese showed deep filial love to the parents, but this is black sheep. His name is not recorded in the Chinese history. As far as which one, we don't know. However, the Chinese like the number 8. We like number 8. And we think, why is that? How did that come? What does that come from? We only have 8 people out of the ark. And all humanity, prosperity, development, all comes from this 8 people. That's probably that one connection we can find from the Chinese lucky number with the Noah's family, the lucky 8 in Noah's Ark.
You are referring to Bako, right? So this is a
that's Bako. So that's also the Chinese. We will have a session about the Chinese characters, oracle bones. We have 3 sessions on that one. So bear with us for now, and we will have a special session for the Chinese characters.
All right. Okay, so the Egyptian and Indian people culture are still on earth. Evidently, you were part of the Hare Krishna movement as well. Do they also have similar ancestor worship pointing to God?
Egyptian culture is no longer on earth. It was conquered in the 7th century. Now you go to Egypt, all you see is Islamic culture. And so the ancient Egyptian culture is gone. India, the northern India was conquered by Maya. So early on, the Maya come to India, and you don't have the pure original Indian culture anymore. And later on, you have a colonialism, of course. However, you can still find traces of records leading to the perfect sacrifice. But what I know about, from what I learned, I was Hare Krishna for more than 4 years. I translated some Hindu scriptures into Chinese. But what I know is that our scripture is not as pure as what is preserved in the Chinese classics.
Oh.
Do I lose you, Brandon?
Technical issues here.
I see some other questions there.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh,
I'm back.
okay, good.
A bit of technical challenges there. All right. So from the Bible, we know about God being at work at Israel. How about God being at work in the 5,000 years of Chinese history?
Good question. Let's just say that in the Bible, the promises is given through the seed of the Messiah here only come from one woman, cannot be from two women or more. It must be from one woman. And that is from the God choose Abraham to say it will be from this genealogy, from your descendants. This lineage is the one. And we know that Jesus was born as the seed of Abraham, and the son of David. However, the people of Israel in the Bible, even God calls them the stiff-necked people. They are very disobedient. And out of 600 people, plus women and children, there's only 2 made it into the promised land. That shows how disobedient they were, and God wouldn't allow them to come in. And later on, the kingdom was established. It was divided in the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. 19 kings in the northern kingdom, not a single one was a good one. Every single one is evil. In the southern kingdom, there are a couple of good kings, but majority of them were evil. So God just let them to be destroyed. There's no more kingdom of Israel. If they were destroyed, they were taken into captivity. That is gone. Now you look at on the other side, the 10 commandments, especially the 5th commandment, is talking about honoring your parents, and God will prolong your life. And you can see the Chinese expanded that commandment. We show respect to our parents, even ancestors, remember them, and look at the Chinese culture. Never broken. Chinese people were never thrown out in other countries. Yes, we do have migrations, but that's different reasons. The country is not destroyed. The culture continued, survived. And there are many good teachings. So even today, the Chinese people, Chinese culture is still very, I can use the word very attractive, at least and even the Chinese food, the Chinese medicine. There's so many good things showing God has always been working with the Chinese, blessed the Chinese, and he is drawing us in all the ways possible he can so that we can come back to him. And I think the purpose for this webinar is also that to evoke our connection with God throughout history so that more Chinese can come back to God. That is the whole purpose of this webinar, that we have a golden and noble connection with God from the beginning throughout history. Why not come back?
Fantastic point. Fantastic point. And may this session provoke thought, right? I think that's one of your intentions, to provoke thought. Yes, speaking of that, we have not much time left. So if you scan through the Q&A section, and if you want that question to be answered, you can upvote it, okay? Press on the upvote button to vote for certain questions that you want answered, because if we just do it chronologically, we probably will not reach your question. However, the next question: did our ancestors at any time have the concept of the Son of the Heavenly God?
Yes, we have a prophecy recorded in the first Chinese dictionary, which I will cover in the Chinese writings when we talk about Chinese writings, the revelation of the Chinese writings. But however, let me just mention that one word here now. We have heaven And then we have 天子, son of heaven. Okay. The son of heaven is not a new concept to the Chinese whatsoever. And then we have 天子下凡. The son of heaven will come to this earth. We have this 天子下凡. Even illiterate Chinese know on the street, they know 天子 will come to this world. The son of heaven will come to this world. 天子下凡. So nothing new. It is revealed to the Chinese, and they cover it. Now, I want to show you a problem recorded in the first Chinese dictionary, which was published in the year 100. Now, just give you a perspective. The first English dictionary was published in the 1800. Okay, there are 1700s difference. Okay, that is the difference. The first English dictionary, 1700 years later, after the first Chinese dictionary. Now, in that dictionary, the word to explain our surname, 姓, born of a woman, 姓. It says a mother of antiquity, a holy mother of antiquity. Yes, that's 姓. A holy mother of antiquity, conceived by heaven, give birth to a son, he is called the son of heaven. 古之神圣母，感天而受孕，生子为天子. That is the literal, the 文言文 I'm just reciting.
For the English audience here, perhaps that is a bit too much of a Chinese for you. Yeah.
but in that, it's saying that a holy mother was conceived by heaven, giving birth, and that son is called the son of heaven. That is how we get our name. Born of woman, the seed of the woman is the Messiah. That is full of that in the Chinese culture.
女生, wow. Okay, fantastic. All right, thank you. Okay, it seems that you guys are in for a bonus time, all right, because the host has graciously extended it for 10 to 15 minutes. Are you okay with it, Dr. Samuel?
Okay, we can do, yeah.
Because
Let's
the
do a few more,
questions...
and I don't think we can answer all the questions in the Q&A, but let's address a couple more.
Yes. Hence, if you want your question, your favorite question to be answered, do upvote your question so that that question shortcuts all the rest. Click on the like button, all right, to upvote. Okay? Okay. One placing too much emphasis on Chinese culture turn the universal message of the gospel into cultural message? Question mark. In a way, identity of a Chinese overcome the identity in Christ? Interesting question. Any thoughts on that, Dr. Samuel?
You know, one of the, if we truly understand the Chinese culture, then we will say that things, we will say it differently. And because even 中国, the way the word 中 means zhong means to do the will of heaven without any deviation. That's what it means. To be a 中国人, to be a Chinese, means you need to be an obedient citizen of heaven without any deviation. That's what it means.
So what you're saying, if I get you right, is go into the center without any deviation.
Without deviation from the will of heaven. And so there's nothing wrong with this name. Even the name in the Bible, the Christian, is a name that's given by the Gentiles to those followers, to those who follow the will, do the will of heaven, do the will of God. But the Chinese, we give a name as 中国人, but in English, the name for the Chinese is a name that we are ashamed of. As a Chinese, we are ashamed of being called Chinese. We call ourselves 汉人. we don't call ourselves Chinese. Chinese come from the dynasty of Qing dynasty. Qing is, and that's where you got the word China. All the foreigners call us such Chinese, but we never address ourselves as Chinese ourselves. We address us either as 秦人, or as 汉人, or 华夏子孙, or 炎黄子孙. You couldn't find anywhere in history we address ourselves as Chinese, because that dynasty is a dynasty that rebel against heaven. That is why we don't want to associate with that dynasty. However, that is a name being used in all the foreign languages. And it is for that particular reason, I think, that the Bible said, even you are called from that name, but there will still be people coming to worship me. So we are not trying to promote Chinese culture, but rather we're saying there are heavenly principles contained in the Chinese culture that needs to be revived. Don't think that Christianity is a foreign religion. It was a religion brought to China even before Abraham, even before Israel. So we are not introducing a foreign religion to the Chinese. We're simply saying the ancestors worshiping the creator God, and we're just calling our modern Chinese to go back. It is right there in your culture. Why you not go back? And we're trying to build bridges. So there's nothing there to promote only the culture. No, culture is nothing. God is everything.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Samuel. For those of you, 50% of you who knows Dr. Samuel through the book, all right, I would like to bring your attention to page 52 and 53. Earlier on, Dr. Samuel actually had references to how the biblical chronology versus the Chinese chronology, so that people can see the similarity between the timelines. And I think Dr. Samuel did a fantastic job in actually doing the two biblical chronology and the Chinese chronology. Fantastic job, Dr. Samuel. And if some of you who do not have the book yet, all right, by some technology magic, something will slide across the screen right now, so that you can actually get your very own copy of this very, very amazing and dense book, all right, for you to actually do your research, for you to search your roots, all right? Yes, you should be able to see it on the screen now, all right? And for the next question, thank you for asking this question, Christopher, because it's my personal question, right? So Dr. Samuel, he thanks you for his insights, and he would like you to share how did you convert from Hare Krishna into Christianity, as you mentioned in 1994, and what is your main message to perhaps some of the non-believers here?
To make it short, the main point, in Hare Krishna, is a part of Hinduism. One of the pillars of Hinduism is you are an eternal soul. You are a soul, a jiva. They call it jiva, which is eternal. I think that is also in
Malay.
Malay.
Yes.
Jiva. Yeah.
Jiva, soul.
It's eternal. You are blissful and you're knowledgeable. Now, if that is the case, then why we need God? And I was at the time I was following that works with reincarnation. After you die, because you're eternal, then you can be reincarnated, go to a different platform. But if you keep on going, at least I can show you the two aspects that they keep on reincarnate, and with suffering and the trouble, and it shows the one who allows it does not have enough power to stop it. On the other hand, in the Bible, all the problems, all the pain, all the rebellion, all this controversy is allowed only once. When it's done, it's done. It will never arise again. So it shows that Jesus, the message, the plan of redemption in the Bible is actually more powerful because it can stop it. But if you get cold, you are healed for once and then you get it back again. How good is that medicine? It's not good at all. You have to be healed. It's once and for all. And if you allow it happen again, you're not merciful enough because you allow pain to come back again and again, suffering come back again and again, trouble come back again and again. No, you're not merciful enough. If you're merciful and powerful enough, you allow it for some time, fix it once for all, no more. And the Bible review in Revelation said there will be no more tears, no more pain. I mean, once it's done, it's done. And that's the salvation. That's the plan God had. He would allow the evil ones go to such a time and then finish it. It's forever done. So that is very attractive to me. The second thing that is attractive to me is I find out what is the best definition of God. What is the best definition of man as well? You know, today we use cell phones, and you have a cell phone. And if I ask a question back, what is the greatest need of the cell phone? What would you answer? What is the greatest need of the cell phone?
Data?
Yeah. Your answer is from the technical point of view, and it's data. Some people say communication. But all of these are good answers, but not the right answer.
Oh.
The greatest need of the cell phone is power.
That's right.
Without power, nothing would work. Whether it's data or apps, nothing will work. So I was thinking about life. What is life? Do I have life in me or not? Do you have power in the cell phone? Of course not. You have to charge it. Do you have oil in the car? Of course not. You have to get gas put into your car. The car does not gas within it. So about man, how about us? Do I have life in me? I don't need anything else. I can keep on going. No, I have to eat. I have to drink. I have to breathe. I have to sleep. I have to get exercise. I have to do all of this in order for me to continue to live. That shows I do not have inherent life within me. The moment I stop breathing, I'm dead. So you start to ask the question, then what is life? The sunshine, the water, the food, they're not life, but they keep me living, keep me alive. So you start to search the question, what exactly is life? The Bible gives the answer. Jesus said, I am the truth, the way, and the life. He is the life. God is life. Life is God. You only receive life from this source. Out of that source, you don't have anything else. You couldn't find life. That is the main reason I come to Christ, because He is life. This is the fountain of life. Apart from this fountain, apart from this charger, this power, I couldn't charge my phone. This is the only way. That is why the Bible says, through Him, then you can have life everlasting. Only begotten Son. He brought life to us. You don't have it inherent in you. That doesn't work. And that is, to make a long story short, I hope that would answer some of the questions.
Wow. The next time, for those of you watching, the next time you look at your cell phone, think about it. What's your sustenance? Fantastic answer, Dr. Samuel. And I think we actually killed two birds with one stone, because someone mentioned how to talk to family members that are into Buddhism. So I think your earlier answer actually shares that, right? The merciful God does not let it repeat over and over again. Okay, so perhaps we have time for one last one. All right. So maybe some of you who want your questions to be answered need to learn the upvoting so that you can use it the next time. Okay. So wow. Okay. So Ben asked the question. China roughly has 4,000 years of history from our talk, right? So how do you reconcile with the discovery of the skull of Peking Man, which is dated 230,000 years ago? Interesting question.
This one can be elaborated, but I'll just give a simple answer to that. You know, the Chinese, we have many scientists who also follow evolution. And from less than 100 years ago, we started to talk about 500,000 years or 1 million years. We started to talk about that. We started to talk about a little longer. Some now is we talk even longer. We use the modern dating method. Whether that is reliable or not, that's another issue. I'm not going to touch that for now. And there are many ways we can say maybe you should question your dating method, whether that's really reliable. And did you consider all the factors that need to be considered? But I just want to point out one thing. All the Chinese in the whole world, doesn't matter where you live, become sensible, logic, reasonable people when it comes to the Chinese New Year. Even communist China, the only time everyone become reasonable, sensible, it is the Chinese New Year. Because when it comes to Chinese New Year, even the CCTV in China say 5,000 years only. No one is talking about more than 5,000 years. Because nowhere in history that is ever mentioned. In the Bible, it's about 6,000 years, that's all. You don't go beyond that. The Chinese history is a little over 4,000, not up to 5,000 years. And let me just repeat again. Whether you're evolutionist or you're a believer of God, when you come to the Chinese New Year, you're all normal. You're all normal. All the science, all the evolution is all gone. You only talk about 5,000 years. So, I mean, that's just simple like that. So the question we need to address here is, what is your authority that you put your trust in? Is that the modern scientific dating method and the theories, presumptions? Or is that more you put your trust into history, traditions, or the revealed, inspired the Bible? It's a matter, however, how you choose your answer depends on what is your choice of your authority.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Samuel, for answering that very tough question, I would say. But I would like to add that it is Chinese history is 4,000 to 5,000 years of unbroken history, which you mentioned in the beginning. All right. I suppose that is the only time that we have. All right. So for those of you who have not gotten this book, do order yours today. Again, it will actually show up with the powers of technology on the screen again for all of you who have not gotten your book. All right. And for those of you who we have not answered your question, our apologies. Because of the interest of time, we have already gave a bonus extension very graciously by Dr. Samuel. So, however, fear not, we will be having subsequent sessions in the future. All right. Actually, with the grace of God as well, because Dr. Samuel is traveling back from the States to his base of work, his evangelistic work based in Philippines. All right. So God willing, we will be having further sessions. All right. Yeah. So as a summary, as a conclusion message, Dr. Samuel, do you have one message that you would like to end the session with?
The one thing I'd like to say is to be a Chinese, I think, is a privilege. The many
Amen.
cultures have lost their connection. They're trying to, you don't find your connection with God. You have to do archaeology, you have to do all kinds of this and that. But for the Chinese, it's that connection is even in our own. It is recorded in our history, and there's so much evidence. It's so much more blessings than many other cultures. So let us not forget that. Let's make the best use of it to bring glory to God, to bless our family, to bless others. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Very well said. In fact, in researching this, Chinese invented 4 things, 4大发明, right? Which is paper, printing, compass, and also gunpowder. All right. So thank you, Dr. Samuel, for bringing us back to our Chinese roots. All right. And yes, till next time, do catch us live again. And for those of you who are on social media, don't forget to share. All right, share this content so that it will be reaching more people, and more people will experience and witness the power of God. Thank you. So we are going to go offline very soon. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Dr. Samuel, for your time and the enlightenment. For those of you who want the YouTube videos, high quality YouTube videos, it will be somewhere in the link below, or you can search for it at canaanland.com. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Samuel. Thank you for all those who are watching.
Thank you, everyone, for participating, and we will see you next time.